And if anybody has any questions, you can put those in the chat. Obviously, unless it's an emergency or you have something, you really need to say, you can unmute. But I'm always checking the chat. The chat pops up on my iPad, so I can see your questions or your comments. Okay, so I'm going to move this over to the side here. So our paper should be about 9 by 12. That's a typical, standard piece of watercolor paper in the pads. And obviously we're holding it upright, not landscape. And we're going to get started here with a very light drawing. I will be doing it darker so you can see it on Zoom. Okay. So we're just going to take a look here first at our landscape here. We're going to start off in the center, going down about halfway down our paper, and we're going to draw basically our summer deck here. So we're going to start off in the middle and draw the line that's in the distance. So we're going to work with a little bit of perspective today. And then our other sides are going to come out towards us in either corner of our paper, bottom corners of our paper, but extends just a little bit past our actual corners. So just wanted to kind of explain where we're going to start off. Okay, so with that, let's get started on this fun landscape. All right, so coming from the top of your page, you're going to, again, kind of go about halfway down. If you want, you can make a very light line all the way across, because we do have a color separation there. So you can do that. And meanwhile, after you make that line, if you've decided to do that, you're then going to make a darker, shorter line for the base of our deck. So you're probably wondering, well, how big should it be? I may have done mine just a little bit too big. Maybe about, let's see, is that like 1.5 inches, 2 inches? I'm so terrible. If I don't use a ruler, I'm pretty sure I can't tell length of things, but it's probably about at least about 1 inch, 1.25 inches. Okay, so once you have that done, you then want to create sort of a pyramid shape coming from either of those sides. So again, we're going to be coming from here and extending towards our corner, both of our corners, because this is in the distance. Oh, let me get Maria on. And this one is also extending towards our bottom right corner. Welcome, Maria.
Hi.
We've just gotten started with drawing, and this is being recorded.
Okay.
So for now, you just need a pencil with an eraser. And I'm just going to recopy in the chat the information that I gave to everybody. Just a reminder to grab a cup of water, and if you have another larger brush, you can use that too. If not, the brush that was in your kit is perfectly fine. All right, so I'm going to extend this line. Thank you, everyone, for bearing with me while I just wanted to catch up Maria. Okay. So as you can see, hi, Jim. So good to have everybody this evening. Okay, so we've got our pyramid shape here. And now what we're going to do is we're going to be drawing our posts That's the second thing we're going to do. And Maria, I'm just going to mute you just so since we're recording. All right, so our posts, we're going to start off in the distance here on the left side. So we have two smaller posts here because they're in the distance. So right at the end here, so first, before drawing this post, as you can see, or maybe you're not sure what that is, these are sandbags. So the black are sandbags, and then we have rope that is all along the side here. So we're going to first draw sort of a roundish circle, and I'm going to start to go in a little closer now since we are kind of talking about the details here. So it's going to be sort of a round circle here off to the left along the left side here. And then one more right next to it. And you can erase the lines that aren't necessary anymore in between. And I'm just going to put on another light real quickly. The light definitely starts to change this time of day. So I just want to make sure. Sorry about that. Okay. All right. So after we do that, we can now start our posts. So we have the first post coming behind it. And it's basically a long rectangle. And we have another one right next to it. But this one is going to be a little bit more three-dimensional. So we're going to start off with a rectangle. And again, I'm going to go a little bit closer here so that you can see my detail. So we've got the rectangle. And then, actually, it's just going to be a long rectangle. But the third one is going to be a little more three-dimensional looking. So we're going to travel further towards ourselves here. And we now create, before we make that post, we're going to create the rope shape on the side. And so basically it's going to kind of look like a squiggly line all along the side here. And we're going to take that all the way going towards us. Now we'll be erasing parts of it to draw in the last post here on the left. Okay. So also, if anybody needs me to slow down or you have a question, you can also put that in the chat. All right, so now our third post here. So we're going to come further towards ourselves. And now is the post. Actually, I'm going to go a little bit closer, just a little bit right here. Again, we've got a rectangle. And actually, this should be up a little bit higher, because we want it almost not quite even with these two, but pretty even. You can still see though that it's in, closer to us. So now we've got our three rectangles. And this one, we're actually going to make a little bit three-dimensional. So we're going to come over here to the left, and we're going to make a slanted line, and then the other side of it. So it's a little more three-dimensional than the ones all the way in the distance. And then we're going to make our final one over here that is going to actually be on our deck. And we're going to start off at the bottom to draw that. So again, we're looking at 3-dimensional. So we're going right up against the deck, and you're going to draw this shape. And then from there, we're going to draw our sides. So like that, and then you can erase what's inside, and you've got the one side. Now you're also going to make the line up top, both lines up top. So your lines are going to go like that. And then you're finally going to make your last side. And you can erase any lines that don't belong in the middle there. And then you're going to make a very small rectangle. And you now have a post that is 3-dimensional. Now we're going to go over to the right side here, and we're going to make those posts. So right over here, we're actually going to make a post right inside our planks here. So coming right over here, and we're going to create a 3-dimensional post. And this one's going to be actually the shortest one because this one is the furthest away. So actually, let's erase that for a second. I was looking at the other one. I apologize. So this one, same thing. On the bottom, you're going to create 2 lines like this. And you're going to go up. Over again. And you've just created a 3-dimensional, 3-dimensional post here. I'm going to show this all up close just so you can see the angles. And then we have one more post over here, and then we have one coming towards us. So we're going to skip a little bit of space. We're going to continue with that line here on the bottom. This one's going to be taller. And it can go a little bit in front of the other one. So again, we always go up from the bottom. So there's our first side. We're now going to draw our other sides, or other lines for the other side, I should say. And then our rectangle, or it's more like a square up top. And then just adjust all of your lines if needed. And so now you have 2 posts over there. And we're going to do the final post coming up over here. Just want to give you all some time. Everyone's doing okay. Okay. So our final post is now going to be right over here on the side of us, on the right-hand side. So again, we're going to start at the bottom. We're going to create a straight line. Our next line is going to be angled. And then we're going to go up. and you can erase the deck line in the middle there and adjust your lines as needed, erasing any extra lines that are in there. And this line's going to angle like an L shape. And then your top. Oops. I have to make this one a little bit wider on mine. There we go. Okay. And now we have our posts. And that is, I think, the most difficult part about this drawing. And then we're going to create our sandbag here. So it's kind of a round circle toward the edge. And again, our rope shape going here along the side and coming towards us, just like on the other side. And then we're going to create the lines in our planks. So I'm just going to show this one more time. So creating the lines in our planks, we're going to start in the distance again. And basically, we're going to take our pencil and we're going to start basically the way lines work with perspective. So it's almost as if we are standing right here on the deck and looking out. So it's coming towards us. So what's away from us is going to look smaller. So the lines are going to start off small, and then they're going to get wider as they come towards us. Almost like, maybe think about like, almost like this, if you're drawing the rays of the sun or something, like, anyway, I don't think that makes any sense what I just said. I was trying to think of something to make it make sense, but I can't think of anything to relate it to. So we're just going to do it. When all else fails, just do it. So we're going to start here at the back. Basically, in order to get straight lines, you can do very light, wispy lines as you're going towards the front, meaning towards us. So here's what's going to happen. These lines are not straight. They're going to start off here, but then they're going to start bending and getting bigger towards us. So this is what I mean. Here's our first line here. And you're going to continue that as we're going. So this one is still bending toward the left. And as you can see, I'm not drawing the straight line all at once. I guess if you wanted to use a ruler, you could, but I find in order to make a straight line, you can just go very slowly and in chunks rather than one straight line. So the line is getting straighter, or the lines are getting straighter as it comes towards us in the middle. But again, those lines are closer together the further away we are. And you're creating perspective here. So keep going. Oops, messed up my line there. Okay, if you want to draw one other one here, like a small one, you can. I did in my original. So I'm gonna do that again. And you now have your deck looking out to the water. And we have some perspective, literally. So the last part that we're going to draw before we get into our painting is we're going to go upwards towards our sky, but about halfway in between here and the top of our page, we're going to create our cloud lines. So these are our dark clouds, our dark purple clouds going across. So you want to do a straight line right across your page. And then you can sketch a little bit of the shape of those clouds. So again, this is going to depend a lot on how you paint it, but this is about the shape that we're going for. Now our sun is right in the middle, the sun right here. So you're going to kind of lighten up that line. And this is just an approximate shape of those clouds. This is just so you know to go right across. And then we have some other cloud sections over here. You want to sketch those in. It's kind of helpful. And everything else up top is going to be basically more free. The last part is our birds. So I'm going to just show you up close our birds here. Basically, they are, we use black watercolor paint. I've done this class twice now since last week, and some people wanted to use a black pen. So if that's your preference, rather than trying to get the birds with black watercolor paint, you are welcome to, at the end, if you can find a black pen, be it a felt tip pen or just, any kind of black pen, you can do that. I think I had somebody use colored pencil, but they had to wait until it was dry. But I'm going to show you how to do it with the watercolor. Okay. All right. So we're going to do the shapes of our birds. So we're going to come back up to our sky here. And we're going to do the first bird that is flying towards us. I'm going to go even closer now so that you can see. So here we are, our clouds, the darker clouds. We're going to go to the left at the top and we're going to draw our first bird. So the shape, very thin as far as the wing. We're getting into a bit of the head and then the rest of the wing that is going downward into a point like so. Now it's okay if your bird doesn't look exactly like mine, that's okay. That's the general shape. And we're going to keep going here. Our next bird is going to be about the same size. And this wing looks a little more like a bat wing. That's what somebody said last night. So I'm going to go with that because it actually does. I just sort of made it up. And now that they said it, I can't unsee the bat. It's pretty funny. So there's our second bird. We're going to continue here, going towards our sun over here. Again, this is still sort of the same shape in the sense of how big it is. And this one is just really kind of a boomerang shape going towards our dark clouds. And we have two more birds. So we have one here in the distance. This one's going to start to get a little smaller. So there's the wing. And a little more of the wing on the right. And the last one is really just a blip on our radar, literally kind of looking like a parentheses. So I'm going to show these up close. You definitely want that last one, that last bird, to be smaller than the rest. And with that, we are ready to paint. So I'm going to lift up my camera a little bit. So for those that have never used watercolor before, this is a transparent medium. So that means is we do layering. We do our light colors first, and then we continue to layer. And our first layer usually shines through the rest of the layers. So with that being said, we are going to start with our yellow, and we're going to start up into our sky. So let me just move my painting upward a little more so you can see the bottom. And we're going to start with our brush. Now, if you have the bigger brush, you can grab that. If not, grab the brush that's in your set. Oh, where did my other brush go here? It like rolled off somewhere. We're definitely going to be needing that for the detail. Ah, it rolled off my table. There we are. I have no idea how it did that. I don't remember it happening. So you're going to wet your brush. You're going to put your brush in the water. You can put that off to the side for a second so that I can do a quick explanation. Depending on what set you have. I have the Crayola set. But either way, there's usually a top, to close your watercolor set, or a lid, I should say, not a top. And basically, I like to use the lid as the palette. So I'm going to be putting my paper towels underneath so that you can see when I'm mixing a color. So we're not going to mix a color yet because our first color is going to be yellow, but I just wanted to go over that with you. So again, you've dipped your brush in water. You want to re-dip it a little bit, but we're really going to get into the yellow because it's a nice yellowy sky in the center where our sun is. Well, there's a bit of the white paper, and we're going to be using the white of the paper as well for the brights in our painting. So you're going to get into your yellow, and you really want to get a lot of paint on your brush. So normally when we start out with watercolor, I say, make it be really light. But right now we're going to start off with a lot of paint. We're going to start right where our purpley clouds are. These are the purpley clouds that will be purple eventually. But we're going to start painting right underneath the bird and also going up into the sky. And what you're going to do is you're going to leave the white of the paper right here. And you're going to continue going upward toward the top of your paper, kind of in a line. And it's going to get lighter gradually as you go up into the paper. Let me move my water so that it's not showing a shadow here. And I'll get a little closer. Okay, so as you can see, I'm going to show this up close. You can see that it's very vibrant here. And then I let my brush dry as it was going up. We're going to be using that technique quite a bit in this painting, a dry brush technique. And what that basically is that I take a color. For instance, I'm going to take my black. It's kind of mixed in with yellow right now. And you're not doing anything right now to your painting. I just want to show you the dry brush technique. So this is wet as I'm going. My brush is going to dry. And I'm going to be rubbing my brush back and forth in order to get some texture. So it's kind of going to be very similar to this. You see how it starts to dry and skip spaces. I know that's really light to see. There we go. That's the technique we're going to be doing for the texture in our clouds. And even on our boards, on our planks, but we'll get to that. So anyway, just wanted to show you that real quickly. Let's keep going with our yellow. So we have the vibrancy of the yellow right here in the center. We're now also going to be adding yellow again, right up to the top left here. And basically going into left and right. Let me move my painting down here so you can see. So again, I just re-dipped my brush in water and making it very vibrant over here on the left as well. In no particular shape, just sort of, just kind of, you know, with some line happening here and over here. We're going to start continuing that yellow down towards our bridge here as well. So we've got the yellow here on the left side going up towards the corner of our paper. We have a spot in the middle that's actually our sun. And then we're going to go down into our water. This is our water line. And you're going to create some reflective yellow on the left side here. Now, the white of the paper here, this circular area, is the sun. So you're going to go on either side in the water with the yellow. And it's a little bit lighter here on the right side. Now you're going to leave a bit of space in the water for the white of the paper. As you start to bring that yellow, we're now going to bring that yellow all into our water until we get to the line of our paper that we used to create our bridge. Okay, so we're now taking the yellow. And what we're doing is we're being very free with our yellow. So remember how I said, you know, we're taking our brush and kind of drying it a little bit as we wipe it across the paper. Kind of want to do that so that the white of the paper is still showing through. But you can pick your spots that you want more vibrant yellow. Mostly it's to the right of your page, to the right of our bridge here. So again, here's the line of where this color sort of stops and our bridge starts. And you can just add yellow in this whole area, but it doesn't have to be a solid line of yellow. As you can see the whites of my paper. See that? And I'm just going to adjust the light one more time because I feel like there's a little bit of a glare. Okay, this time of day as the sun is setting can be a little tricky when it comes to shadows, but also beautiful. Okay, so now we've got our yellow on there. While you have yellow on your brush, you're going to lighten up your brush by dipping it in water and a little bit more in your yellow. So we're now going to go onto our planks. And basically, on the left side here, in the first plank, you're going to add yellow. And the way that we're going to be painting our planks, we're thinking about wood. And I'm just going to show you again. So basically, it's strips of color. So our first layer is yellow. You can see that there's yellow throughout, but in light parts, some of it is a little bit brighter. The way we do that is we don't paint in a straight line with it. We kind of lift up our brush and continue downward in spots and allow the white of the paper to shine through. So we're thinking like this is wood. So with that in mind, we're going to add yellow to the other parts. And I like to think of it as maybe adding yellow to maybe one side of each plank. So here we go with just adding the yellow. I like to get a little brighter towards sort of the distance here. And you're going to hit all those planks. And as you can see, you can still see the white of the paper because we're going to be layering, right? We're going to be layering our colors. So that is our first layer, which is our yellow. And we're then going to rinse off our brush and we're going to add orange. And we're actually going to mix our orange and our yellow. So we're now going to mix our first color. So let me grab my paper towel here. So at this point, we are going to mix yellow on the side here. So what you want to do is you want to dip your brush in water and put it on your palette. So I know it's hard to see, but right here, I have some water on the palette, and that's where my paint is going to go. So I'm going to dip into my yellow and then back into my water on the palette. And then I'm going to rinse my brush because I don't want to muddy up my orange. So after you add the yellow to your palette in that splotch of water, you're going to go over to your orange, and then you're going to mix it with yellow onto your palette. So you're going to get a golden yellow. It's kind of an orangey yellow. Now, once you have that, we're going to start spreading that on the left side of our water here. And it's going to be closest to where the sun is. So, and you may have to mix some more yellowy orange. And you're going to think about almost like this is clouds, even though it isn't. So kind of doing it in fragments. And we're doing this color on the left side, and then we're going to extend into the right side in sort of a line, but leaving in the middle a little bit of the yellow showing. We're going to get a little darker with this eventually too. Now, once you do that, that was your golden yellow. And we did that right across the top on either side. You're now going to dip into your orange with your brush. And you're not going to use water. You're not going to use too much water. So here's what I did. Here's my brush. I'm really kind of rolling it around in the paint because I want this to be a little darker, a little more pigmented. And I'm going to add on to the orange, and I'm going to continue down towards the line that we created for our area here. So this is our orange. So right now we're building up our orange. And you're going to take that orange across. And you're staying towards the bottom portion where the bridge is. So you want to make sure to do behind the posts. And again, you want your brush to be kind of dry at this point for over here. And then you're going to paint from side to side. We're going to go up into the sky a little bit too. I mean, this is the water. And so then you want to actually then dip your brush in water again after you complete those parts. And you're going to dip it into your golden yellow again after you dip your brush in water. And you're going to come up on the right side of your sky. And you're going to add some orange on the right side, going around the purple, even though we haven't done the purple yet. So here is, we're going around this cloud. And this is with our orange. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So this is with your light golden yellow. So it's creating kind of like an orangey or a peachy kind of color. And I'm not worrying if I'm coloring in every spot because I want the white of the paper to show. And while we have this on our brush, we're also going to continue down into our planks. So I'm going to give you a few seconds to catch up on there while I pick up my smaller brush here. Okay, so we're going to dip into our water. And we're going to dip in once again off to the side into our golden yellow. If you need to mix up more, you can do that now and then mix it on your palette. And then you're going to add that color on top of your yellow on the boards. So same idea. You're not worried about getting all of the plank covered. You actually kind of want to do it in spurts of color. Like so. So now it's kind of a golden color. And then we're going to then get into our red. So you can still keep the color on your brush, but you want to dip it in the water and start a new space on your palette. And you're going to add water to it because you're then going to get into your red and you're going to get kind of like a pinky color as you mix it with water. It's a light kind of a pinky color. And you're going to take that color and first you're going to go up into the sky on the left underneath your bird. And I'm going to go a little bit closer again. And you're going to paint right into your orange so that it's got this nice peachy glow. You're going to continue kind of towards the middle, towards the sun. And then also on the right side, I have to get a little more water in there so that it's a little more peachy. So again, now we're going up towards the sky and we're doing it in spurts of peach. You're also going to take that color down into the next part of the water here. So again, this is the peach color going towards the left side here. And also a bit on the right side on top of your orangey yellow here. And then still taking that very light pink color, you're going to add some quick swipes on your boards. So you're going to see it's very pale for now. Just quick swipes of that peachy color. So we're building it up here, building up that color. We are going to go off to the left side, left bottom part of our painting, actually in the water area now. So we're talking about this section over here. And we're going to mix a bit of blue and also brown together. So we're going to mix another color. So let me grab my palette here with a paper towel in the back. Okay, so coming over to our palette, you're going to wet another spot on your palette. You're going to dip into your blue. So we want this to be a very opaque color, a very light color. Going to rinse your brush and then you're going to dip into your brown and mix that together with your blue. Do that again here. And you're going to kind of get sort of a grayish blue. So that should be loaded up on your brush. We are going to use that color to swipe from left to right in this area. And we're going to do the same thing on the right side. So on either side of our bridge here, we're going to be using this color. So we're going to start off on the left. And you're going to make sure to go right near the posts. And you're also going to make sure that the white of the paper, that you're not covering up all of it, that you're kind of streaking with it. You're making streaks so that the white of the paper is showing. And you're going to do that on the right side as well. So that's your first layer of the water. You're also going to take some of that. Now, if you need to mix more, remember it is blue and brown. And then kind of watered down. we're going to take that and we're going to go a little bit into our boards very lightly. Like extremely pale, almost like a light layering. It's going to look a little greenish when it gets on your boards. So again, we're just building up color. Think of it as, you know, wooden boards, wooden planks, like so. You're going to rinse your brush for now, and you're going to leave that color for now. And you're going to make another color next to it. And that's going to be purple, brown, and black. So again, you're going to leave the color that we just made. We're going to go back to it. And then you're going to mix purple, brown, and black on your palette. You're going to kind of get this light muddy color. You're going to take that and you're going to go into your posts and you're going to swipe that color onto each of your posts. That's our first layer there. And then same thing, you're going to start taking that color and you're going to add it right near the left post on the plank on top of the other colors. So that was on this left side. That was with the purple, brown, black combination. So again, these are all muted colors as of right now. We're going to take that color again now that our sky is a little bit drier. So if you have to make a little more of that color, again, you're going to wet your palette, get into your purple, brown, and black. You're going to get kind of this mauvey, purpley brown. Then you're going to wet that. And then you're going to blot your brush a few times on your paper towel. So the reason we're doing that is because we want to start adding a little texture into the sky on the left side. So we're going to go up towards our birds again. And towards the bottom part of where we haven't filled in the cloud area yet. You're not going to fill that in yet because this is the light part of right above it with the purple. Light purple, right where the birds are. You can go around them and go up on the left side. And then you're going to go on the right side as well, where the second bird is, or not the bird, I'm sorry, where the cloud is, right around it. You're going to add a bit of purple, this light lavender purple there, a little bit above the top. So we have a mixture of colors happening right now in our sky with all of our layers. And guess what? We're still using that color. So again, if you need to add some more, again, that is brown, purple, and black. And you've got that plum color. We're going to take that color, So you're going to load up your brush, and we're going to go now towards, again, the bottom left. And you're just going to go back and forth between the left side of your bridge and the right. And you're going to add that color. And then going towards the bridge towards us, you're going to almost like you're drying off your brush, going from side to side with that color. Now we're going to put that brush down, and we need to get our detail brush. So this is the brush that came with your set. And we are now going to go up into the sky with the purple. And basically, we're going to be mixing a color for the clouds in the sky. So we're going to be grabbing our black, our blue, and our purple. So you're going to get this sort of misty, dark color. You want it to be dark, so if it's not, keep adding black. It's going to be almost like a, might look a little more dark blue, and that's okay. Once you hit the color, this is our first layer, so you're then going to just start finally coloring across your page in the spot where we drew for those clouds. And you're just going to go across from left to right, filling that in with your detail brush. Now, if you want to use your other brush, you can, but we really need the detail brush for the specific shape of these clouds. You want to make sure that you're going above on the right too into the next cloud-like shape. You want to get a little darker with your color towards the bottom of the clouds on the right side as it goes up against the horizon line there. We're also going to take this color and we're going to go into our posts and we're going to create the shadows on the post. So on the left side, this post, we're going to kind of dab on some of the color on the already purple we have, and then the shadow right on the plank. So this is with your kind of grayish purpley blue. The spots that we're hitting right now, we're on the post over here, going towards us. And you're going to be doing the shadow area along the rope edge as well on the plank. And then each of the other posts you can add some dark spots where I'm doing it on each of the posts. So you can, take a look up. It's usually on one side of each post, although the one closest to us, a little bit more. So again, this is still with that color that we picked. And then we're still going to use that color, but we're going to soften it up a little bit with our water. So basically making it a little more kind of runny, watered down. And then you're going to paint on top of your planks again in spots on each section of wood. So this is really, we're getting into the detail areas now. So again, thinking about, spots in wood, kind of different coloring. We're taking this color and we're adding it to each plank. And then we're going to let that dry and we're going to outline each one. But for now, we're just adding some more color on. Like so. And Lisa, are we okay with 10 more minutes?
Absolutely.
All right, thank
Whatever
you.
it takes.
All right, thank you so much. Okay, so we have that part done. For now, we want to pay attention now to the bottom portion on the left and right side of our bridge here. We're letting these planks dry before we add our sort of blackish gray color to the separation of the planks. And we're going to do the rope area on the left and the right. So that is going to be brown and yellow. So we're going to take our trusty palette again. If at this point you need to kind of wipe off a spot on your palette, that's okay. But we're taking some brown and some yellow. And a tiny bit of green, because you're kind of going to get, again, sort of a muddy brownish color. So again, that was yellow, brown, and then just a tiny bit of green. And you're going to paint in your rope area on the left side and the right side along the edge of either either part of the bridge here. So that's going to be your first layer of color there. Now, while that's drying, you're then going to use your brush to get into your brown after you make those swipes of color. And you're going to go back into each of your posts. And you're going to add brown now to the outside areas or distinguishing areas of the post to make them look like they have three-dimensional to the sides. And you can add a bit of brown on top of the color you made. So the first thing you're going to do is you're kind of like outlining your posts. This is with your brown. On the left side. And then the right side, you're just going to add that brown right on top of some of the color that you did, but you're still going to let that purpley kind of color shine through. You can outline the bottom on the right side of each of your posts. So you can kind of see I'm doing this here. And then the one on the right, closest to us, kind of want to paint brown the side that's closest to our left. And you can add a bit of brown on your posts or on, I'm sorry, not the post, on your plank on the left side, going against, again, against your, the rope. But then we're now going to get into our black. So after that, rinsing off and getting into our black, and we want this black to be dark. So the trick with getting it pointy as well on your brush is after mixing it on your palette, because I just like to put it on the palette as well. Need a little more water there, but you want it to be more of a solid black rather than the opaque colors we've been using. To get your brush pointy, you want to kind of twist and roll your brush down, almost like you're creating the point. So you see that, and then you're gonna have that pointy spot. The reason we're gonna do that is we're going to go along the side of the rope, going against the wood planks here. And we're going to create an edge since it's resting on top of our wooden planks. So you're going to take that and do just that. So you're going to do a few things with this black. That's the first part. Second is to define some of the lines in your rope, sort of your braided rope here on the left side. So you can literally make a shape that's looking like this on the left side. And then you're gonna just do that kind of quickly a little bit towards the middle there, but you're gonna let it fade into the distance until you get to your sandbags, which are black. So you're going to color those in. And we have 3 of those. You're going to color in the other one on the opposite side here. And you can add a little bit of black detail on the right side here by making some kind of squiggly lines inside the rope, but very, very light. And We're also going to use our black now for the lines of our bridge. And this, you're going to go very lightly. So basically doing the line of the bridge in the distance. And the planks, you're going to do the same thing you did with pencil as you're retracing those lines. You're going to be skipping spaces here. As you come towards the bottom of the page. Again, you know, starting in the distance and then just tracing that line as best you can and almost making it like a dotted line in a sense, like long dotted lines. If your brush starts to get dry, you want to wet it just a little bit. Get back into your black and remember, roll your brush to get that point. And again, you know, you're using your brush very much like a pencil at this point. And just take your time. And once you do that, you can start to add some kind of dashes with your black on side to side in your planks. And also, you know, dry brushing it in the sense of kind of dipping that brush just in the black paint that you have. And then acting as if you're wiping off the brush on your paper. And then we're down to the last two parts, which you're then going to take your black and you're going to paint your birds. So you're going to use the same, you know, and be careful of kind of resting your hand on your, you know, the part that we just completed. If you have to turn your, you know, turn it up top, you can do that, but then you're just going to trace your birds. Again, acting as if you're using like a pen. And again, if you want to, you know, at this point, if you want to just, you know, wait and get a pen, you can do that. If not, you're going to trace. The parts that we drew. Again, remembering if your brush starts to kind of misbehave and, you know, you need to roll your brush again to get the point, you know, stop and do that. There's our birds. And our last part is the greenery on the left, which is also black, but it's a combination of black, brown, and green. So again, that combination for sort of the bamboo type stuff that's on the left side is a combination of brown, blue, and black. And basically, we just use our brush to create shrub-like shapes, kind of dotted lines in a way, because we're thinking of this is like that greenery It kind of grows out on the side and it's real wispy. So, you know, you take your brush and again, acting like you're kind of a pencil, and you first go up in sort of straight lines, curved lines from the side. And then you kind of start to just add these little wispy parts like so. And that is our watercolor summer lake painting. So I'm going to give you a few seconds, kind of finish those parts up. And then I want to see what everybody's looks like. I'm going to remove my spotlight. And so why don't I stop the recording?